Jewish community history of the country Belgium, Second World War. So now we're gonna speak more about it and maybe the synagogue, some more of the rabbis over there. So I recommend everyone, if you haven't watched the first two parts, please look back at it. And it's always great to make progress and learn more within regards to the country itself, Belgium over here. And there's so much that we can say within regards to it, in regards to after this specific time period, and so on and so forth. So welcome anyone that you're new to our community, and as we're going to educate and hopefully learn and more about the country Belgium. I mean, the current president actually is someone named Yves Oshinsky. I think it was CCOJB president, we have to point out, within parts of the country. Let's talk more about of the current temperature. Just a bit of let's say, Chazara, a bit of Jews may have followed the Roman legions to what is today Belgium, I think around 53, 57, Common Era, just go back around that time period. I think there's a tombstone in 1255, 56 that was found actually in Thienen or Trillement that mentions the name of someone called Rebecca Bat Moshe. Jews who refused baptism were massacred in Belgium during 1309. I don't think we mentioned that last time. There was crusades, and small Jewish communities were decimated after Jews were accused of causing a various different plague. I think in 1348, which you mentioned about before. We talked about the Spanish Jews settled in the Netherlands in the 16th century, and let's say there were the others that were secret Jews known as Moranos that will settle also in Bruges and Antwerp. We didn't really touch on that so much. And when Antwerp came under the Austrian rule in 1713, the Jews could practice their religion, let's say, more openly. They enjoyed greater freedom at that stage in time, and there was a promulgation in the 1781 by the Habsburg Emperor Joseph II of the Edict of Tolerance. We spoke about, I think in 1808, that there was around 800 Jews integrated into two Belgian consistories, which was established under the Napoleon Bonaparte. And in 1831, a year after the Belgian independence, Judaism was largely recognized by the Consistory Central Israeli de Belgique as its official representative. So we mentioned about now, in the 19th, 20th centuries, the Jewish community of Belgium will grow Jewish immigration from Central and Eastern Europe. Become more assimilated. There was French-speaking Jews establishing themselves in Brussels, Yiddish-speaking Jews and Orthodox Jews will settle in Antwerp. And at the outset of Second World War, the Jewish community of Belgium numbered more than 100,000 people, according to one source. Maybe it was slightly lower beforehand. We did mention about before. I think in 1936, a World Jewish Congress, the Belgian section was a constituent member of the WJC, World Jewish Congregation, a plenary in Geneva, which we've spoken about before. And a key figure was Dr. Ariel L. Kubawitsky, which will later become Kubawi. He was of the WJC Belgian section at that stage in time. And we know that all throughout, especially 2002, the early 21st century, anti-Semitism will start flaring again in Europe, and immigrants rioted in Antwerp. There was, I think, violence that was unfortunately directed against the Belgian Jews, and there was anti-Semitic attacks, I think, in 2014. Let's go back to the years of the Holocaust, which we spoke about before. The start of World War II, more than 100,000 Jews reported over were living there, including 55,000 in Antwerp, 35,000 in Brussels. 20,000 were refugees from Germany and Austria reported over. On May the 10th, 1940, Nazi Germany invaded Belgium, and I think in the fall of the same year, anti-Jewish measures were announced. Prohibitions targeted against kosher slaughter, shechita, religious practitioners. There was other discriminations will follow, which would bar, say, Jewish people from partaking in certain professions, in law and in education. I think the Belgian authorities in 1941 would confiscate properties, including diamond exchange, followed by the establishment of curfews restraining Jews. In early 1942, the Nazis ordered Jewish people to wear yellow stars, and by September they began deporting Jews, mostly to Auschwitz. Very few would survive the concentration and death camps, and more than 25,000 Jews unfortunately perished during the horrors of 1939 to 1945, and there was an active resistance movement supported by both Jews and non-Jews, prevented a higher death toll reported over. And many Christian families would hide Jewish people and usually respected their requests not to be baptized. More than 2,000 Belgian non-Jews were recognized as righteous among the nations by Yad Vashem, we have to point out, in Jerusalem for saving Jewish people during the years of the Shoah. And Belgium was also the only Nazi-occupied country in Europe where, let's say, train transport to death camps was halted and deportees had the chance to escape. After World War II, almost all these Jewish children, 4,000 were saved from deportation. And I think in January 2013, the Belgian Senate issued a strengthened version of an official resolution at that point in time, recognizing Holocaust-era complicity in the persecution of Jews. Now, according to a World Population Review in 2023, the Belgian Jewish community numbered 29,000 out of a population of 11 million. Now, friends, I'm not sure if are they all halachically Jewish or not. Was it more or less? We get that, I don't know. There's mostly living in Brussels and Antwerp, other communities in Arlon, Liège, Mons, Charleroi, Waterloo, Knook, Ostend, and Ghent, also respectively. So let's explore the current community life. I want to speak about the synagogues in due course. I think Jews have been active, obviously, in Belgium. I think, especially political, cultural life, if I'm not mistaken. I think Jacques Brochy was part of the member of the Belgian Senate, and Vivian Teitelbaum also of the regional legislature, and Minister of Justice and institutional reform between 1981 to 1988 was Jean Gaulle, for example. Those are just a few people. Today, Judaism in Belgium is organized mainly in 3 institutions reported over. I believe 2 of which, if I'm not mistaken, wait a sec, sorry. Yeah, so, friends, everyone exploring the history of the Belgian Jewish community. I believe that, there's a political umbrella of the CCOJB, a political umbrella of 40 national and French-speaking Jewish groups, organizations, and there's many other groups also. Belgium, I think, currently has 45 active synagogues, 30 of which are all Orthodox in Antwerp. There's several synagogues will serve, but there's various different kollels. I believe they're ultra-Orthodox Hasidic sectors over there present in the city. There's 10 synagogues, I believe, in Brussels. And I think there are a few Reform synagogues also. There's English-speaking synagogue, and I believe in Brussels, for a second, there are 3 Sephardic synagogues. The chief rabbi of Belgium is appointed by the community and officiates at the country's main synagogue in La Régence, which was, I think, rededicated in 2008 in the Great Synagogue, respectively. That's something that we have to very much point out also within regards to that. And so that's very interesting. We're going to try and concentrate on some of the synagogues in due course. There's special communal lay center, the Center Communat Lake Juif, a Jewish museum and a memorial to the Jewish martyrdom in Belgium. Antwerp is one of the largest ultra-Orthodox communities in Europe, known as the Jerusalem of the North by some. I think Yiddish is actually still actively speaking in Antwerp, even in schools over there, because it's a Hasidic community. And very, very interesting. Kosher food is readily available, especially nowadays in Brussels and Antwerp. Belgium's Jewish schools are mainly located in Antwerp and Brussels, serving many communities from ultra-Orthodox to secular, offering bilingual education, mix of religious and secular subjects. Antwerp has several Orthodox institutions like Yesodei HaTorah School, which divides boys and girls, I think, into different institutions, and various other schools. I think some schools are more, let's say, more progressive, are much more on the ultra-Orthodox, or many of them are ultra-Orthodox. There's 6 Jewish youth organizations currently in Belgium. I think there's, obviously, we talked about religious, very ultra-Orthodox organizations. There's B'nai Akiva, Hanoah Atzioni. I think also organizations like Habanim Dor, Hashomer Hatzair, and various others also. I think since 1982, Brussels has been the headquarters of the European Union of Jewish Students, if I'm not mistaken. There's a Jewish media there. A publication in French language is published by the CCLJ called Regards, if I'm not mistaken, in Antwerp. The leading Jewish publication is Jude's Actuel in Dutch, if I'm not mistaken. There's several publications in Yiddish. The Brussels community also boasts of its own radio station, Radio Judaica, and they have a press agency, if I'm not mistaken. And Belgium, I think, is home to several significant Jewish sites. There's rich Jewish community, rich history and impact of the Holocaust we see that actually took place. Anyone tuning in live, please subscribe to the channel. Welcome to our community. Shabbat and we're speaking about the Belgium Jewish community. I believe in Antwerp, visitors can explore the Jewish Quarter. The Diamond District is famous over there. The Liebskind Synagogue, and experience local Hasidic culture there, Hasidut. Over there, there's a Holocaust Memorial, I think Park de Doon, which commemorates Jewish victims of the Holocaust. Visitors can learn about the history of Belgian Jewry and the Jewish Museum of Belgium in Brussels. And there's many other places. Israel and Belgium have diplomatic relations since 1950. And I think in 2001 there'll be some tensions, but ultimately struck down by Supreme Court to try them. Prime Minister Ariel Sharon with war crimes. Relations between Brussels and Belgium have improved since then. Since 1948, many thousands of Belgian Jews immigrated to Israel, where they created an organization, the Organisation Originaires de Belgique en Israël, if I'm not mistaken, over there. Let's explore some of the synagogues now of Belgium. I wanted to speak also about the chief rabbis of Belgium. We did speak about the earlier ones also. If you recollect, I think it was on part one. We were on a journey at the time to Jerusalem, and there was other main rabbis over there that I do want to speak about here in the Jew course over here. So we did speak about rabbis like Eliakim Kormoli, Chief Rabbi Armand Bloch, we spoke of the other day, also, and Rabbi Solomon Ullman, if I'm not mistaken. There was actually an excellent article I found which really portrayed history of the chief rabbinate of Belgium, which I have to point out over there. Now, another key rabbi who I think we mentioned about, Rabbi Chaim Kreisworth. He's an Orthodox rabbi, lived between 1918 to 2001. He was the chief rabbi of Congregation Machzikei Adat in Antwerp and the founder and Rosh Yeshiva of Merkaz HaTorah. We mentioned about him in the previous class. He was actually born in Poland in 1918. His father's Rabbi Avram Yosef Sherman, if I'm not mistaken. He studied in Poland and Lithuania, most recently under Rabbi Chaim Ose Grudzinski, a very famous rabbi. And I think he eventually became a chief rabbi of Belgium. He would move to Antwerp in 1953 to rebuild the Jewish community there after the Holocaust. I think he would actually have Belgium in itself. So already here before. There was other rabbis, I think, and key rabbi that we should mention, Rabbi Robert Dreyfus. He was also, I believe, a chief rabbi, if I'm not mistaken, of Belgium, and I think he served as chief rabbi of the community in Brussels from 1948 to 1955. He would return to his position of chief rabbi of Belgium in 1963 and will eventually retire in 1978, if I'm not mistaken. And at that point in time, I think the rabbinic leadership for the Orthodox, so I'm not sure if he was actually a Orthodox rabbi or not. I'll have to point out over there because I think it does state over here an information source that Rabbi Chaim Kreisworth was the Orthodox community chief rabbi. So it could be, I'm not too sure, I need to find out more information about Rabbi Dreyfus also with regards to him, but he was apparently he was recognized as a chief rabbi, I think, by the authorities, if I'm not mistaken. So that is very, very interesting. So I think he was actually born in 1913, Rabbi Dreyfus. He attended rabbinical school in Paris in 1932. He was actually taken prisoner by the Germans in June 1940. He was in a labor camp, unfortunately. And then I think eventually he would he would become a chief rabbi in 1963. He'd be chief rabbi earlier in Brussels. And he was involved in the fight, let's say, for the rights of Soviet Jewry and in interreligious reconciliation and dialogue. So I don't know if he was actually Orthodox in of itself. So that's something I have to point out over there. He would have, I think there's various different records with regards to him. I think where he was very, very well attended, let's just say, in of itself, and he was very well known of his time. Let's explore a few more of the chief rabbis that there happen to be of Belgium of yesteryear. I think it's very, very important that we speak about this, and we've spoken about many rabbis, and now it's actually interesting. The chief rabbi, I believe, of Brussels in 2002 was someone named Rabbi Albert Gigi. So that's actually, Gigi happens to be, I believe, Sephardic family name. So I think we've mentioned, I know of some Gigis also we have to point out over here. So he's been very active over many years, let's just say, in of itself. So I think there's different pronunciations within regards to how to actually spell his name per se. And let's explore a bit within regards to him. I think he was actually born in Morocco in 1944. He's a chief rabbi of Brussels, I think, currently, and is a representative of the Conference of European Rabbis. He was born in 1944. He served as Grand Rabbi attached to the Central Consistory of Belgium since 1980, Grand Rabbi of Brussels since 1987. Active in community, religious education, interfaith, a member of the Muslim Jewish Leadership Council, and authored numerous articles and publications. I think, unfortunately, in 2001, he was victim of a widely reported anti-Semitic assault by a group of youths in Brussels, and he made headlines when he announced that local synagogues would be shut for the first time since World War II. And he has publicly taken stances on social issues, such as advocating, let's just say, regulation of undocumented migrants, stating the struggle is a Jewish concern, and opposed a ban on ritual slaughter in Brussels. Also, another individual, Rabbi Albert Gabbai, who is a Sephardic rabbi in the United States and a Jewish refugee from Egypt. We shouldn't confuse him because they have very similar names. Also, so we have to speak about that. He spoke in many, many different synagogues. Rabbi Albert Gabbai did, and very, very well. Let's just say documented within regards to him. And I would like to say what. Yeah, so he must be at the moment about 81 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. He's a spokesman. He's written various different articles on ethics, on health, on humanists, on science, I believe also, and on Maimonides, on Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, if I'm not mistaken. He's author of various other books. Let's just say in of itself, and just a famous rabbi, a Moroccan rabbi, a chief rabbi of Brussels, also we have to point out, which is very, very interesting. So we can mention more rabbis also. So we did speak about Rabbi Solomon Ullman, who was, I believe, was a chief rabbi previously also of Belgium, which is very, very, we spoke about it mostly he was born, I think, in, if I'm not mistaken, 1882, passed away in 1965, we have to point out. And Rav Ullman, I believe, was in the University of Frankfurt at one stage in time. He got a doctorate, a thesis in history of Spanish, and I think he was connected to the Spanish and Portuguese Jewish community in Amsterdam. Also, he was Ashkenazic community rabbi in Cairo between 1909 to 1914, and become a secretary of the Machzekei Dat Orthodox community of Antwerp, I think later on, and was a military chaplain in the Belgian Armed Forces between 1937 to 1957, and he became chief rabbi in 1940 for 17 years, if I'm not mistaken. So he had various different, let's just say, positions in of itself. Now, other key person we should mention about, I think someone named Chaim Perlman, I believe. He was born in 1912. I believe he passed away in 1984 in wealthy Jewish family, if I'm not mistaken. He would study at the University of and University of Warsaw, and he was mobilized during the alerts of 1938 and 1939 during the invasion of Belgium by German troops at that stage in time. In May the 10th, 1940, he took part as a soldier, and I think he would join the Association of Jews in Belgium in 1941. In autumn 1942 in Brussels, he and his wife participated in the establishment of the Committee for the Defense of Jews, along with someone named, Hertz Josepha, and Yvonne Josper, if I'm not mistaken. He worked with Jewish adults, distributed underground newspapers, if I'm not mistaken. He was very, very active in the Jewish resistance, Chaim Perlman was. And I think it would later on, after the war, and I think he established the Belgian Friends of Hebrew University 55. He was vice president of Belgium Israeli Friendship Association in 1950 scientific community. Throughout the Hebrew University awarded Parliament with a title of Doctor Honoris Causa in 1970. He had a very decorated academic career, let's just say even himself, but that's maybe for another work, and wrote many, many different books and Torah works, we have to point out. So he was another key figure in Belgium during that specific point in time, we have to point out. We spoke about Joseph Wiener, rabbi of Belgium, also at a previous stage at time. Friends, I'm just going to take a short break at a moment. I'm going to come back in a minute. Please, in the meantime, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back in 1 minute, friends. Over here. Sure, everyone. Thanks for being patient. Sorry about that. We just took a short break. We are speaking in a part 3 over here. History of the Belgian Jewish community here on the special edition. If you're new, welcome to our community over here, where we are exploring all different countries, the history of the Jewish community in various different places, and we happen to be speaking about Belgium here at the moment. So we spoke about Rabbi Joseph Wiener. I think also he lost his life in Auschwitz. Also, sadly, he died in the year 1943. He was now the chief rabbi of Belgium. Now we're going to speak more about current rabbis in Belgium, but let's explore some of the synagogues history in Belgium. So that's something that we have to point out over here, because we like to explore what the Jewish culture is like and the synagogues are like all over the world. So let's speak about Belgium over here. There's many famous synagogues in Belgium, and many great synagogues in of itself. So there's a lot that we can actually state over this. First of all, we are going to speak, I believe over here, we'll speak about the great synagogues of Europe. So what was that? That is the Great Synagogue of Europe, is formerly known as the Great Synagogue of Brussels, interesting enough. So the building was designed in 1875 in, let's say, Romanesque Byzantine style by the architect Desire de Keyser. And the synagogue survived the Holocaust, in which 25,000 Belgian Jews died. The chief rabbi is Albert Gugi, I think, at the moment. And very interesting. I think it's still very much active at the moment. And it's the site is served by the tram stop Petit Sablon Klein, if I'm not mistaken. I think in 1831, Judaism, as we said before, was recognized as an official religion. The country's major faith was Protestantism at that point in time. 1875, the community had a larger synagogue built at the current address on the Rue de la Régence, or Sabian Zaval district of Brussels. And I think at that point in time, you can see the design itself is phenomenal. There's stained glass windows made by Henry de Boller from Bruges, if I'm not mistaken. We have to point out in 1982 there was a terror attack over there, by a man with a submachine gun and seriously wounding 4 people. The attack was attributed by a Palestinian militant group at that stage in time. The Great Synagogue of Europe on on June the 4th, 2008, the synagogue was dedicated as the Great Synagogue of Europe, we have to point out. So very, very interesting. So that's a famous synagogue over there, currently under the leadership of Rav Albert. So that's very, very interesting. Friends, anyone tuning in live, we're exploring the history of Belgian Jewish community. There's many more synagogues also in Belgium, we have to point out. Just to give a whole list, there's synagogues such as Alexander, the Beit Moshe, there's Bel Synagogue, a Hasidic branch, the Bet Yitzchak, if I'm not mistaken, Bet Jacob. There's a Bet Mordechai. There's a Bobov Synagogue, I believe it will connect it to the Hasidic sector. There's a Baum Misa. There's a Chabad Lubavitch Antwerp. There's a Da'at Shalom of Shotz. There's a Eisenman. There's a Gur, another Hasidic sect. Hechel Aaron, a Kahal Hasidim. Klosenberg. So there's a lot of Hasidic synagogues over here. There's a Machzegei Adat of Antwerp. There's a Moriah synagogue. There's Shomrei Adat. If I'm not mistaken, in Antwerp, you got to say Gerusia, which is a Sephardic synagogue. Over there, Bet Chabad Brussels. There's a Bet Israel. There's a Etz Chaim, which is a Sephardic synagogue, the Great Synagogue, Ashkenazic one. And the Ma'aleh, also, Ohel Eliezer. And there's a main Sephardic synagogue there. There's Orthodox synagogue, Machzekei Adat. And the Sharei Tzion. So there's various different, the vast majority are Sephardic, but there are, are Ashkenazic synagogues there. But there are some Sephardic synagogues also, which maybe we will be able to explore a bit within regards to over here. So we do want to explore some more of the synagogues over here. And yeah, anyone tuning in live, welcome to our community. We are exploring the history of the country, Belgium, the Jewish community over there, and some of the synagogues that there happen to have been famous places over there. So very, very interesting. There's a Great Synagogue of Brussels, which I spoke about before. So yeah, so that's, I'm just on the website at the moment over here. So it's a very, very famous synagogue. I think it's in Brussels. It is, they have exhibitions. They've got a team. They've got a museum there, for example. Also, it's one with an entire structure where there's presidents, there's education officers, and so on and so forth. So yeah, there's a lot to point out within regards to that over here. So we are just speaking live within regards to the Jewish community history of Belgium over here on this special edition. So everyone, welcome to our community over here. We're recording this just before Shabbat, Parshat Vayigash, Torah portion of Vayigash happens to be this week. And yeah, they're very, very interesting. So as we explore some more synagogues, remember the main communities, let's just say, are Brussels and Antwerp in Belgium, respectively, where they have like large, very large Jewish communities, respectively, over there. Okay, so let's speak a bit about there's a synagogue Sephardi de Brussels. So what is that, friends, over here? Just to explore a bit within regards to it. It actually looks like a beautiful structure in of itself. And yeah, it's a, I think, yeah, it's also like another large synagogue, let's just say, in of itself. I'm just trying to get some information at the time here of recording this video within regards to this synagogue, because we're a Sephardic channel. I think the main one is, okay, so just going to it, the main Sephardic synagogue is known as a Simon and Lena Haim synagogue, also known as Congregation Israelite Sephard Unifa, or SISU, or the Sephardi synagogue, which is located on the Rosendahl. I think it's mostly a community from Turkey, from Rhodesia, I think that's from Greece, and other Sephardic heritage members. There's a historic site, the former Sephardic synagogue in Cherbourg, if I'm not mistaken, built in the 1970s. So that's very, very interesting. So there's Simon. There's a former Sephardic synagogue known as Cherbourg, I believe, which was built between 1966 to 1970. So it'll be very interesting to hear more within regards to that specifically in of itself over here. And I think the Center of Jewish Art in the Simon and Lena Haim Sherbak Synagogue also we have to point out over here. So that's very, very interesting over here. So friends, anyone tuning in live, welcome to our community as we explore some of the synagogues of, at the moment, we're exploring some of the key synagogues that are in Belgium, in Brussels, especially at the moment. So I think as Chabad of Brussels. We have to point out there's very similar Chabads over there. So that's the key, let's just say, factor within regards to that places. There's a Bet Hillel also. That's another synagogue. Let's just speak about that for a minute. But this synagogue, the Bet Hillel, if I'm not mistaken, it was founded in 1965. That synagogue was. They've got actually a website in French, if I'm not mistaken, over there. So I think it's a let's just say another synagogue which concentrates on Talmudic life. They do Talmud classes there and so on and so forth. That's another key synagogue there. It's in Brussels. Let's explore a bit more. Remember, I think this the Conference of European Rabbis, if I'm not mistaken, is actually in Brussels many of the occasions. That's something else that we have to point out also. There's a European synagogue of Oel Eliezer also, which is another key one, I think, in Belgium. They do Jewish studies there daily. There's a lot of online resources and they do a lot of learnings, and there's various different initiatives that they have over there. It's also known as the European Synagogue Ohel Eliezer, which is it's just a important to point out. It's a famous place in itself. They have a lot of information. They have a lot of children's programs, also youth programs, and they provide a lot of kosher facilities and information within regards to that. So that's something else we have to point out. Let's explore some of the synagogues in Antwerp, friends. There is a lot of synagogues there. Remember, we said that Antwerp has the largest, I think, Jewish community over there. The Romy Guldmunds synagogue. What is that? The Shomrei Hadat synagogue, which you mentioned about before. Let's explore a bit within regards to that, friends. And there's culture centers in Antwerp. There's various different places. So just to speak about, I think the rabbinate over there, they have kashrut. It's very, very active. I think the current rabbi is Rabbi Padua and Rabbi Shmal and Rabbi Chaim Parnas, if I'm not mistaken. These are famous rabbis, really, really doing active work in the synagogue itself, also in Antwerp. And it's very, very much a famous synagogue over there. Actually, beautiful. Aron Kodesh. You can see just the structure of the Bet Knesset is absolutely phenomenal. And how great is the synagogue? There's a Chabad of Antwerp also. And as said before, there's many different Hasidic synagogues also over there. So that should be pointed out. There's Beit Midrash Moriah, which is one of the functioning synagogues in let's just say that now I believe that happens to be a Sephardic synagogue, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually located in the heart of Antwerp's Diamond District, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Sephardic synagogue. It was built in 1913, if I'm not mistaken. And Jews in Belgium, obviously, as I said before, can be traced back from the Roman Empire, but they began arriving in numbers in the 15th and 16th century from England, France, Spain, Portugal. And the Beit Midrash Moriah synagogue is one of the functioning synagogues in Antwerp with 15,000 Jewish residents, obviously in Antwerp, 90% of whom are employed in the diamond industry. And, so that's key. This synagogue is within regards to the diamond industry and for trade. So many people might be foreigners that will be coming and going from various different places. And obviously need to come and go. So that's something important to point out also. So it's, let's explore about more rabbis also at the moment. Yeah. There's Jewish cemetery also, which we should speak about also. There's so much to speak about within regards to Belgium that I really hope that we're going to be able to record another video at a later stage within regards to that. Now, there's a Portuguese synagogue also in and I'm just on the page at the moment. I think they actually state that the Sephardic community of Antwerp is mostly Portuguese or Turkish origin, and they distinguish itself in Ashkenazic community from rituals, tradition. I think in 1910 there was an initial refusal, and the royal decree of recognition was published on February the 7th, 1910. 1911, I think there were key Sephardic families such as the Montiesque and Midi Mizrahi, Salti, and Benham families will do the construction of the synagogue over there at that time. It was designed, if I'm not mistaken, by an architect called Joseph de Lang, and it's a very, very beautiful synagogue, inaugurated, I think, in 1913. And they many Ottoman families, I think, will come over there. The Torah scrolls were preserved. I think the majority of members were Turkish nationals, if I'm not mistaken. And the synagogue was, I think, destroyed or was affected during the Holocaust, but was restored in 1945. 1946. Had brilliant, let's just say, designers actually come and renovate the synagogues. The Taché family is a key family that would very much help out at that stage in time within regards to the synagogue upkeep and so on and so forth. So that's also something that we have to point out. Anyone tuning in live or exploring this history of the Jewish community of Belgium over here. So here on this special edition. So welcome everyone to our community, and yeah, let's hope and grow. Now, the key Sephardic rabbi in Belgium was Rabbi Shalom Ben Izri, I believe. He was also there along with Rav Moise Levy, who we mentioned about beforehand. So he was another key rabbi. I think, yeah, I haven't got that much information on him. There's another Rav Shlomo. There's a Rav Shlomo Ben Izri who was part of the Shas political party. We're speaking about Rabbi Shalom Ben Izri over here, who was a key rabbi in Belgium along with Rabbi Levy. Remember, I think there was relations with the Congo, if I'm not mistaken. Shalom Ben Israel was a prominent Sephardi rabbi in Brussels. He was leading the Sephardi community since the 1970s, chief rabbi and spiritual figure over there. He would speak out on issues affecting Jewish life in Belgium, like religious freedoms and bans with regards to kashrut, and really celebrated and championed the importance of strong Jewish identity over there, emphasis on the cultural along religious life over there. And he would really speak very much about it. So I think he famously has a brother called Armand Ben Izri, if I'm not mistaken, another key person, if I'm not mistaken. So that's very, very interesting over there. So everyone, welcome to our community if you are live at the moment on the channel. And yeah, we are speaking about the history of the Belgium Jewish community over here, key rabbis over here, and how important actually it is to speak about it. So welcome everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are other rabbis. It's actually interesting. I think Rabbi Eliyahu Bakshi Daron, who was the chief rabbi of Israel, would be very much corresponding to the rabbis at that point in time of Belgium, especially in the early 2000s. And yeah, very, very interesting. So he was a key rabbi. I think another rabbi that was very famous in the early 2000s was someone named Rabbi Moshe Weiss, if I'm not mistaken. He was, I think, academic. Being an academic in Belgium, he would take on key roles also inside the country. Over there, we have to point out. So I think he was connected to the diamond industry and so on and so forth. So let's explore some more of the rabbis in Belgium at the moment. This is part 3. Hopefully, we will speak about more countries in the coming week. Another rabbi was Rabbi Aaron Daum, I believe. He was moved to Antwerp from Israel in 1993 and accepted a position as a lecturer of Jewish law at the University of Antwerp, if I'm not mistaken. He was very well known there. He would also move there for family reasons and was influential in religious life. And I think within regards to Geirut conversion, if I'm not mistaken, with regards to that, Rav Aaron, let's speak about him. He was a modern Orthodox rabbi. He would associate himself with the modern Orthodox. He was a chief rabbi of Frankfurt am Main, if I'm not mistaken, between 1987 to 1993. And then from 1995 to 2018, he was a rabbi in Antwerp in Belgium. He was actually born in Bnei Brak in 1951, if I'm not mistaken. He passed away in 2018, and I think he was very involved in he was learning in the Hasidic Ruzin Yeshiva in Bnei Brak earlier on, and he would leave to the United Kingdom. He would learn in Yeshiva Etz Chaim in Switzerland also. I think go on to Jews College. He would be part of Yeshiva University. He was very well decorated in various different places he would go to, and he would accept the post as chief rabbi in Frankfurt am Main in 1987. And he was very into the classic old music reported over. He was working within regards to kashrut, within regards to minyanim, or within regards to Jewish life, family cycle also, and did various different weekly publications and thoughts, and had various different published books. I think in which we have to point out also various different books, important books, and very valuable ones. Let's just say for many over there. So he was a key rabbi for more than about 23 years in Belgium, and yeah. As we are speaking about Belgian Jewry, welcome everyone to our community over here. And yeah, we are speaking about the history of the Belgian Jewish community over here just before Shabbat. And we might actually branch this out into a part 4 over here because there's so much to actually speak about, so many rabbis to speak about. So I think we might actually branch it out to another part later on. So another key rabbi, a notable figure in 2007, was Rabbi Moshe Aryeh Friedman in Antwerp. He was an ultra-Orthodox rabbi. That was he happens to be a rabbi very, very good, I think, with the media, if I'm not mistaken. So just to speak, he was actually born in 1972. And I think in 2011 he would move to Antwerp. So he's very active. I think at the moment he currently lives in Antwerp and has been about various different places. I think, yeah, he's a famous one. So let's just say another one. I think his children, yeah, I think he had windows in time in Austria and also in other places also, friends. I think he's known also as more of an anti-Zionistic Jewish person who might have like a similar ideology, let's just say, to Satmar. That's another thing we have to point out over there within regards to him. So it's important to get an entire thing. So we spoke already about Rabbi Albert Gugi of Brussels over there, who was obviously a key rabbi in also Mexico. That I think Rabbi Aaron Schiff is another key rabbi in Belgium recent history, who we should actually point out. I think he became a rabbi in December 2010. He's a key rabbi over there. I think he's a rabbi of Mexico Hadat, also in Antwerp, and they're doing important things. I'm not sure. It could be that he is also associated with the Chabad movement, but I'll have to double check that also. So friends, I think we're going to leave it here with a bit of a shorter edition over here. Friends, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe now to our community. We've got fantastic content over here where we're exploring the history within regards to the Jewish community of Belgium. I think we can do a part 4. We're going to try and do at one stage in time over here because the importance within regards to it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We are nearing 8,000 subscribers over here. And yeah, how important it is. And yeah, we also do other contents over here on this channel. We will explore all over Israel. We try and look at all the various different archaeological places over here in this fantastic country. We explore different sites. We do short clips. Also, we have inspirational Jewish personalities that come and speak for us, and so on and so forth. So I recommend everyone to look over those videos. We do a daily tidbit of the Daf Yomi, daily page of Daf Yomi, some inspiration over here. So I recommend everyone to watch those videos we are recording within regards to that. And yeah, that's absolutely phenomenal, very exciting. And we've already done about 1,200 pages to the daily page of the Gemara. So I recommend everyone to look into that. And we do much, much more over here on this channel. So yeah, if you're new over here, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. And yeah, please watch your space. We're about to come inside the Torah portion of Vayigash this week. I do plan on recording maybe another video here within regards to the country Belgium, part 4, because there is more information. We'll speak more about the cemeteries, more about the synagogues, and more about a few more of the rabbis of the history within regards to get a good breadth of Belgium, so that we actually explore it and so on and so forth. So friends, wishing you well. Thank you for watching. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much.